A Quiet Place Part 2 is the follow-up to the first Quiet Place movie from 2018, which kind of came out of nowhere and told this intimate and tight family drama to the backdrop of monsters from space who attack anyone who makes any sudden noise. That movie had a fantastic sense of tension building, which very few blockbusters achieve convincingly these days. John Krasinski returns to write and direct this follow-up, which picks up almost exactly where the first movie wrapped up, with the Abbott family forced to leave the farm and find a way to survive in the world on their own. Eventually, they stumble onto the mysterious Emmett, played by an excellent Cillian Murphy, who plays a part in guiding the Abbott family to their next destination. Emily Blunt, Millicent Simmons, and Noah Jupe all return to reprise their roles from the first film, with Millicent Simmons really taking charge as the lead role this time around, which was great to see as an actor who communicates through American Sign Language. John Krasinski has described the first movie as being a love letter to his kids, with parenthood being the main prevalent theme of that movie, where we see how much John Krasinski and Emily Blunt's characters go through to protect their kids. This time around, the focus seems to be more on the kids, and seeing them grow up and being forced to face things on their own, when their parents aren't there to back them up. And this obviously leads to the new dangers that the kids face when venturing out into this terrifying world. Because as is common with post-apocalyptic fiction like A Quiet Place, sometimes people are just as scary, if not scarier, than whatever creatures are roaming around. What really stands out with A Quiet Place 2 is how much Krasinski has honed in on building up tension in his scenes, knowing when exactly to use a jump scare or to show something grisly to get a reaction from the audience. This is all best exemplified in the incredible opening sequence, which I thought was pretty outstanding, not only as a way to provide some backstory to this world Krasinski has built, but also harken back to how Steven Spielberg would frame and pace his sequences in Jurassic Park, where the monsters would gradually be teased in the background of certain shots, while the focus is always kept on the main characters, and taking in their reactions. One moment in a bar setting specifically brought to mind the kitchen sequence with the raptors in Jurassic Park. And really, this approach to the opening sequence is carried throughout the movie, which, like the first movie, excels in ratcheting up the tension without ever relying on any spoken dialogue. As with the first movie, the lack of dialogue helps lock you into what's happening on screen with the characters, especially as the movie rarely cuts away from the characters and their facial expressions. This is so that when the characters do experience something terrifying, you share that reaction with them, as you're so focused on the characters, which of course is all boosted by the various natural soundscapes and Marco Beltrami's fantastic score, and that's what helps make both of these movies such incredible communal experiences. Watching A Quiet Place 2 at home on your own would be fine, but there's nothing quite like being intently focused on a movie with a crowd of people all paying attention, eagerly anticipating what's going to happen next. That doesn't mean A Quiet Place 2 is flawless though. The pacing for the most part is pretty great, however it doesn't always feel innately clear where the story is taking you with its characters, especially when they start splitting up and you're waiting to see how they'll eventually come together, making the plot feel like it's meandering a bit and a little less focused than the original was. At times it can feel like the movie isn't sure what to do with some of its characters, like Noah Jupe's Marcus, who kinda gets stuck making all the bad decisions in the movie. For instance, there's a sequence of Marcus stumbling onto some disturbing backstory relating to Cillian Murphy's Emmett that kind of doesn't go anywhere and gets ignored, and yet Marcus's actions help set the third act in motion. So you get some of these odd creative choices that don't quite pay off the way that they should. And in general, the movie's attempt at showing how some people in this world have become morally corrupt monsters themselves isn't developed anywhere near as well as it could have been. Despite these gripes, A Quiet Place 2 still provides a number of memorable, gorgeously filmed and terrifying sequences. The sound-sensitive alien monsters are just as unnerving as they were in the first movie, and even though there are more of them in this movie, their threat is never diminished, especially when faced one-on-one. This isn't the jump from Alien to Aliens, where people are now able to tear through dozens of these enemies. Better yet, this is really Millicent Simmons' movie. While Emily Blunt and Cillian Murphy are great in the film, John Krasinski really sets up Millicent Simmons to be the star of the show, and allows her character Reagan to not only be the driving force for the story, but the badass hero that many are going to be psyched to see. Overall, I really enjoyed my time with A Quiet Place Part 2. It's the kind of horror thriller that you don't really see being made anymore, and as a modern blockbuster, it's so refreshing to see editing that isn't rushing things through. And with how this movie ends, there's definitely a lot of potential to see where this franchise could go from here. Honestly, if you like the first A Quiet Place movie, then you're getting a lot more of what you liked the first time around. A Quiet Place Part 2 gets an 8 out of 10 from me. Guys, I hope you liked this review. If you want to see more reviews just like this one, stay right here for your Mono Fix. Bye guys.